Hi friends, welcome to Tuesday study, Jesus Christ, the first fruits. Jesus Christ, the first fruits. Let's go right now into First Corinthians chapter 15, verses 20 to 23. Just let's look at that together. But now Christ is risen from the dead. So Paul says, all right, all this speculation is crazy. We know he rose. Christ is risen from the dead and has become the first fruits of those who have fallen asleep. Right? For since by man came death, by man also came the resurrection of the dead. For as in Adam all die, even so in Christ all shall be made alive. But each one in his own order. Christ the first fruits, afterward those who are Christ at his coming. Clear as a bell, isn't it? Paul is saying here, he's alive, and he's the first fruits of those who have fallen asleep. Jesus, because of what he has done, he replaces the failed actions of Adam that led to the fall of the entire world, right? Adam and Eve sinned in Eden. God had made a covenant with Adam. Adam broke that covenant when he sinned, not just Eve. Adam, the covenant was made with him. And when he breaks that covenant, that Adam failed. But a new Adam, Jesus Christ, the second Adam, kept all of God's will, faithfully served God, and died on behalf of humanity in order to save us. So his resurrection signals that we too will be resurrected and one day glorified with him. Paul is saying we're not going before him. He's the first fruits of those who fell asleep, who have been faithful and kept everything that God asked of them. Paul resumes his thought about the foolishness then, 1 Corinthians chapter 15, 29 to 34, about how foolish it is then to deny something so powerful, so important, so efficacious for our salvation. And he uses the figure of baptism. We're baptized into Christ's death and resurrected with him into new life. And Paul is saying that this baptism, this whole process is ridiculous. If Jesus wasn't raised from the dead, why then are we doing it? In fact, he goes on and he says that we have been baptized for the dead. 1 Corinthians 15 and verse 29. Otherwise, what will those who are baptized for the dead? What will they say? If the dead are not raised at all, why then did they get baptized? This baptism of the dead can be, or for the dead, can be quite controversial. But in the context, it seems to mean that some are inspired by the lives of those who have been faithful to God and have chosen to be baptized that they might live and see and be reunited with those faithful ones again. It seems to be that Paul is saying there's some people who have looked at those who have died believing that they will be resurrected one day in Christ, just like Jesus was. And they themselves chose to follow God because of the example of those who were baptized and who followed him. What happens to them if Jesus is not raised from the dead? Paul is saying the whole house of cards comes down, and the whole house of cards does not need to come down because Jesus is raised from the dead. And it is critical for us to understand that Christ is the first fruit of those who have fallen asleep.